thank you very much for watching. I'm the Odd Ape and this is Vintage Story. With the release of Vintage Story 1.16, it's now possible to produce alcohol, starting from berries, fruits, honey, tubers and grains. Today I want to take a look to the whole process. Mead is the easiest alcoholic beverage to produce because it doesn't require extra tools. It is simply honey fermented in a barrel. All we have to do is squeeze some honeycombs over a bucket to collect the honey, transfer the honey into a barrel and seal it. The fermentation process lasts 14 days, after which it is possible to taste the mead. Mead in this form is subject to deterioration depending on the condition of your cellar. Ale is the product of the fermentation of flour. At this moment it is possible to produce ale starting from the flour of spelt, rye, rice, amaranth and cassava. First we must work the grains and cassava with a quern to obtain the flour. Then we must add the flour to the water respecting a ratio of 1:1. After 14 days of fermentation, we obtain ale in a ratio of 5:1, which means that 5 liters of water and flour solution produce 1 liter of ale. Wine and cider are made from fruits and berries. However, they cannot be fermented directly. They must first be made into juice. To turn fruit and berries into juice, we need a fruit press, which can be crafted in the craft grid. It requires a hammer, a chisel, 1 metal ingot, 1 unit of fat, 2 units of resin and 12 boards. The fruit press is not equipped with a container to collect the juice. It is therefore necessary to place a bucket under the press. Once the fruit press is ready, we can add the fruit or berries by right-clicking on the central housing of the press. The housing can hold up to a maximum of 32 fruit units. At this point, it is possible to operate the press by holding down the right button on the handle above the press. The juice will collect in the bucket while a dry mesh will remain in the press. Dry mesh can be used to feed animals or to rot for fertilizer. At this point, the fruit juice can be transferred to a barrel for fermentation, which will last 7 days. A couple of notes. 32 units of fruit should produce 10 liters of juice, but I've always got just under 10 liters. This leads to a problem, as fermentation is only possible with quantities of liquid with only 1 decimal place. To be clear, it is possible to seal a barrel containing 5.2 liters of juice, while it is not possible if it contains 5.22 liters. Whiskey and brandy are the product of the distillation of the beverage as described so far. To proceed with the distillation, we need a boiler and a condenser. They both need the same materials but in different quantities, so we can proceed to produce the materials for both. Altogether, we need 1 soldering iron, 7 copper plates and 7 solder bars. The copper plates are obtained by hammering 2 copper ingots, while the solder bars are obtained by cutting the solder ingot with the saw. Finally, we will need a soldering iron obtained by joining a copper chisel and a stick in the crafting grid. First, we position the boiler and then we connect the condenser to the boiler. We need to place a bucket under the condenser to collect the distilled alcohol, and then we need to prepare the material for the fire under the boiler. Now we can add the wine to the boiler, which can hold up to a maximum of 30 liters. Finally, we light the fire under the boiler and wait for it to reach the temperature necessary for the distillation process. Distillation is a rather expensive process. 1 liter of liquor requires 10 liters of wine. Obviously, the result is much more satisfying. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to leave a thumb up, to leave a comment and to subscribe to help this channel grow. We will see you the next time.